Before my first appearance, I knew nothing about the court process. I knew that's where I'd be going to either get charged, have my charge dropped, or to be sentenced.
Prior to my first appearance, the only thing I knew that I had a right to a lawyer. And other than that, I had no understanding of how the court processes worked or how, or who the people were in the courtrooms, like the lawyer, the judges, and defense.
I would have wanted to know where to get a lawyer, how much the lawyer would have costed me, what I should have worn to court, and where I could have gone for extra services.
I think I would want to know who the people were in the courtroom. I'd want to know a little bit more in depth into my rights. I'd also want to know a little bit more about court processes and sentencing and what available sentences are available to me.
We like to see young people come in a little early because the 9:30 start time is when we start calling matters into court. So anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes ahead allows them an opportunity also to get over their nerves, talk to people, maybe get some questions answered before they walk into the courtroom. So for sure 15 minutes ahead. In the case of young people, I have the power under Section 25 of the Youth Criminal Justice Act to make an order for a young person to have a lawyer. So for example, a young person who's living in the care of the Children's Aid Society has literally no financial means available to hire a lawyer. But even young people who live at home with parents who maybe could pay but don't want to assist, or they're just not making enough money to pay for a lawyer on behalf of their young person. Or we've had cases where the adults trot their child in and say, well, he did it, he needs to just plead guilty and get this over with and take responsibility. And that's not really all that's involved in the court process, and so they may be unwilling to pay for a lawyer. So Section 25 allows me to make an order that they can present to legal aid, and upon presentation of my order, legal aid will grant them a certificate. We rarely, if ever, have unrepresented young people in youth court. There's at least duty counsel, and in most cases that are going beyond diversion, they have the benefit of legal counsel.
Good morning. Can you please empty your pockets and put everything in the basket? Follow me through here.
Okay, if you just want to move to the side, just put your arms up for me. Okay. If you just want to go back and take off your rings.
Just put your rings in here. And follow me through again.
Does anyone need to speak to duty counsel?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Okay. Are you charged?
Yeah.
And you are Dad? Okay, I'm just gonna talk to him first and then we'll come grab you after, okay? All right, just this way. Okay, you're Sam Travis? Okay,
Yeah.
my name's Monica. Hi. I'm duty counsel here today. I'm just gonna explain a couple things to you before we go into court, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so do you know what you're charged with?
Yeah, theft under.
Okay, so the allegation is that you, apparently it's alleged that you had taken a pair of running shoes from Sport Check. That's the charge, so it's theft under $5,000 because the total amount of the items that were allegedly taken is under $5,000. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you here with today?
I'm here with my dad.
Your dad? Okay. And are you in school, Sam?
Yeah, I'm in school.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in grade 11.
Grade 11. Okay. Now, have you applied for legal aid yet? So legal aid is an organization that people can apply to if they've been charged with a criminal offense, if they cannot afford to hire their own lawyer themselves.
Yeah, I have.
You have, okay. And have you hired a lawyer yet?
No.
So I'm gonna assist you today as duty counsel until you actually hire your own lawyer, okay? There's a chance, because this is your first charge and you don't have a criminal record, that the Crown may offer you something called diversion.
Extrajudicial measures and sanctions is another word for diversion. So diversion is an alternative to prosecution. Let's say we're dealing with a theft. right? I'll recommend the accused to complete a shoplifting course. I'll get the accused to maybe donate some money to the charity of their choice and to write a letter of apology to the organization in question. So that will be the work that they're completing. Once this work is completed and I receive a certificate of completion, then I'll withdraw the charge. So instead of going through the motions of court, we're resolving separately so that there's no conviction at the end.
So in all honesty, I was offered diversion after my first appearance, and I was given 2 weeks before my next appearance. When I went back, I was almost charged because I didn't do any of the programming I was supposed to, and I didn't do any hours like I was supposed to. When I got there, my cost worker, he had made a point that he wanted to give me a second chance to get my act together and try the program one more time. They asked me if that's what I wanted to do or if I just wanted to forget about it and take the charge. And I'll try the diversion one more time.
We won't know that until we go into court. Okay, so what's going to happen is your court date today is going to come back on another day, probably in about 3 or 4 weeks from now, to give you an opportunity to hire a lawyer, or if diversion is offered, you can start the program and we'll just see how you're doing, okay? So you're just gonna have a seat in the waiting room, and then when your name gets paged into court, if you could just come in and follow my direction, and once I find out what the Crown position is, I'll talk to you about that and then we can discuss. Okay, do you have any other questions for me?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you can just go have a seat with your dad.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So the most intimidating aspects of the court was the fact that I was held overnight in custody. I was brought before the courts in front of multiple people in cuffs and shackles, which is degrading. And then the other intimidating part was the amount of people in the courtroom, not knowing who they are. These people are making decisions for me. I don't know who they are.
Yes, we have sort of a congregation of support services attached to youth court. So we have somebody from our community sentencing program that runs the youth diversion programs and the restorative justice programs. So we usually have a representative from their program. We have the youth mental health program worker in the courtroom. We have at least one representative from youth probation. We often have people from the John Howard Society who are there to support, in particular, young people who are CAS kids who are facing charges. So we have anywhere from 4 to 6 additional people, and they usually are seated in the courtroom, so they can be called upon if a young person presents with obvious mental health issues. Even on that first appearance, we can start the process of connecting them to the mental health worker. If they've agreed or been screened for diversion, I can say to them, you're going to do this diversion program. There's Rhonda right there. She's going to talk to you, and she'll stand up in the court, introduce herself, and then they can have a further conversation out of the court.
Order, all rise. This Ontario Court of Justice Youth Court is now in session. The Honourable Justice Deluzio presiding. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Counsel.
Good afternoon.
Are you ready to call the next matter?
Yes, I am. We can call Sam Travis.
Okay, can you be paged, please?
Sam Travis, courtroom 401. Sam Travis, courtroom 401.
Good afternoon, Sam. You can come forward and stand beside duty counsel.
So Duty Counsel is a lawyer that works for Legal Aid Ontario. So they're paid by the Government of Ontario. They work, the full-time duty counsel lawyers work at the courthouse full-time. They are available to assist anyone that is charged with a criminal offense. So when people come to court for their first appearance, duty counsel will be here. They'll be able to speak to them. They can give them advice about, what happens at the first appearance, any information that they need, how to apply for legal aid, how to hire a lawyer, any advice, general advice like that. Duty counsel is only able to assist people that are charged with criminal offenses with putting their matter to a different day, so an adjournment is what we call that.
Remand and adjournment, those two words are often used interchangeably. But a remand is just scheduling another date in the ordinary course of court proceedings.
Or they can assist people if people would like to enter pleas of guilty to the offenses. If someone wants to plead not guilty and have a trial, that's not something that duty counsel can assist with, and that person would either have to hire their own lawyer, whether they do it privately with their own money or whether they hire a lawyer through legal aid. They would need to do that if they wanted to have a trial, or they could represent themselves. So duty counsel has a limited role, but they are a lawyer, a free lawyer that's available to give advice to anyone charged with an offense. Usually that would happen at the first appearance. Hi. Thank you, Your Honor. I spoke to Mr. Travis today in my capacity as duty counsel, and this is his first appearance.
Sam, who are you here with today?
I'm here with my dad, Your Honor.
And that's the gentleman that's walked into court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Travis, you can have a seat. And I understand this is your first appearance. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's the
Theft
charge?
under.
Okay. And Mr. Rodriguez, are you satisfied that he understands the charge and doesn't need it to be read out to him today?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. I've explained it to him and he understands what he's charged with. It does not need to be read.
Thank you. And Mr. Youssef?
A Crown is a quasi-judicial member of the court. We exclude notions of winning and losing, and we balance the various principles of sentencing: rehabilitation, deterrence, denunciation, reparation to the victim. In the context of the Youth Criminal Justice Act, the focus is really on rehabilitation, getting the youth back on track and reintegrating them back into society. But the more serious the offense is, the more the other principles come into play, such as denunciation and deterrence.
What's happening with this matter today?
Disclosure has been provided to Mr. Travis. I have screened this matter for diversion. Mr. Travis is to complete the COSP shoplifting course. He'll be making a $200 donation to a charity of his choice. Once the Crown receives certificate of completion, the Crown will be withdrawing the charge.
Okay. So that's a lot of information. I'd like Ms. Rodriguez to have an opportunity to explain to you exactly what diversion means. So we'll take a brief recess so that can take place.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
All rise. This court is in recess until we're called.
Okay, so Sam, this is Jen. She's the court worker for the diversionary program. Because the Crown's offered diversion in this matter, she's just going to explain to you a little bit about how the program works and how you can connect with them, okay? So when you're done, I'll come back and speak to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Sam. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, I'm Jen. I'm here on behalf of a local community agency in Belleville. It's called COSP, to talk to you a little bit about diversion. As you heard from the Crown Attorney, there's a few things that's expected of you to be accountable for the charge. Two of the things are the $200, where you'll have to make a payment, and also attending the anti-theft program, which is an educational program, and you'll have to go for a couple of sessions at the office. It'll involve you doing an intake appointment over at the COSP office with one of the workers there, a bit of paperwork, and a few appointments. We're to give a progress report, like the judge said, in 6 weeks. If you haven't completed everything, that's okay, as long as you're working on it, and we can let them know what you need to finish. And if you're done by then, that's great. So you can expect a few appointments at the office, as well as some programming, and having to raise that $200. And again, you can do that in part payments as well. Do you have any questions for me about any of that?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, so before you leave today, I'll make sure to have your contact information, and you can have the contact information for COSP, and we'll make sure to set up an intake appointment with you at the office.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All rise. Court is resumed. You may be seated.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you for that recess. I can indicate that I've explained the diversionary program to Mr. Travis. He understands what it's going to consist of, and he is going to be taking part in that program. He's going to be meeting with the court diversionary worker today to get the process started. So I would ask that this matter return in about a month or two so we can do a check-in on how the diversionary program is going.
Okay. So do you agree with all of that, Sam?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're willing to participate in a program outside of the court process?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're really being given an opportunity today to avoid having any kind of a youth record that goes along that can result from a criminal charge. And that can affect even your ability to get a part-time job down the road. So this program will require you to be consistent, to attend appointments, to follow through with any programming that's offered to you. When the program is completed, the Crown will get a report about how you've done, and so will I. And if that report is positive, the Crown's already indicated that they will be willing to withdraw the charge. So there's a huge upside to you completing that process. But again, it will depend on you. So if you haven't heard from the program and you're expecting an appointment, it's up to you to call them. Not to miss any appointments. You know, we will check in about 6 weeks to see how you're doing. As long as you're, working hard on the program, if for some reason you need more time, we'll be happy to give that to you. But if you're not taking the program seriously or you're not attending appointments, the Crown can always reconsider his position. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. So we'll see you in about, I think 6 weeks takes us to March 28th. We'll see you on that date, and I'll get at least a progress report at that time. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ready to deal with the next matter?